Turn it up a little bit. Give me 1 second. We're going to start in a second. As soon as I can pin this comment and get it up on Facebook, we'll be fine. Equals. I am well, thank you. How are you? If I could just... Instagram really needs to make this a little bit better, like easier to post. Okay, pin the comment. Let's pin it. There we go. Okay. I'm wearing a shirt, I promise y'all. All right. Everything looks weird. Okay, let me just get Facebook going. Managing your emotions plus a sound mind equals keep going. Oh, yeah. Okay, did that come out right? Did that do well? How we doing? Our eyebrows look like they need to be done. All right, we are almost there. Looks like we're about ready. Let me get my little notes. Y'all know how I do. Ooh. All right. Okay, thank you. I have to say thank you to my DJ. All right, so y'all know how we do. We do not really stay to wait for people to hop on because it's 9 o'clock at night and I don't want to waste anyone's time. And, you know, I want to be mindful of that. I mean, granted, it's not like we have a lot of places to go, but y'all know I don't like to keep y'all on here forever. So a lot of my people like to catch the replay, which is also cool. So welcome. I am Shamar Latanya. If you do not know me, if you're just popping on for the first time ever, and I am a transformation coach. And what I do is I help women rebuild, transform, and reclaim their power after a divorce or a tough breakup. And that is done in a myriad of ways. All of it is customized to you. So few housekeeping rules, because this is like me teaching live. If I don't respond to your comment, I will go back and respond. Absolutely. It's easy for me to get off track when I'm talking to people. I 100% will. So I'll go back and respond to your comment if I don't say anything right now. And as long as everything remains respectful, we can all be good to go. If you send a request to be in a video, I am teaching. This isn't just this isn't just like a live just because. So I cannot take video requests because it's a live stream, like webinar style. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I've been doing a series of lives every Thursday, and now we are at this new point on these Thursdays. Give me 1 second, y'all, because also when people get disrespectful, they get blocked. Okay. So that's that. Sorry, y'all. I had to we don't play these games out in these streets. Okay, so I've been doing a series of lives, and the lives have been just about every Thursday, and all of a sudden we faced this global pandemic that now has us all sitting in our houses. My backdrop even looks different because for some reason I'm guessing the surge of people on the internet this is where the spot is the best in my house. So like literally everything changes. But I wanted to come to you all tonight because there are a series of webinars I'm going to be teaching. Some will be straight up on Facebook here for you. Others will be, something that you have to register for. But I have gotten a flood of emails, and I'm quite sure you all have. Most are from big companies letting you know how they are going to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. If you follow or are on groups with people who have these small businesses, you get a flood of emails from these businesses, right? And if you are one of the 3.2 million Americans who have had to file for unemployment over the past week, which is an astronomical number. If you are one of the 3.2 million Americans who've had to file for unemployment, you are in a state of, it's a state of shock, it's a state of fear, it's a state of anger, it's a state of, anxiety, it's a state of sadness, a state of depression. It is a state, whatever that is, you can easily be in a position to where you're not making the right decisions because your emotions are at play. If you see me looking off to the side, I'm looking at my notes. Y'all know when I teach y'all, I do not go off the rip. I like to have notes for you all. So with that being said, it's easy to be all over the place. And it's easy if you are feeling like, I need to figure out how to get this money in this kind of way. It's easy to look at things and feel like you can just jump into anything. Right now, the whole goal for a lot of small businesses is to play on your emotions, is to play on your fear, is to play on your anxiety, and offer you a bunch of different things that might not work for you. And I'm going to take it a step further. If you've walked away from some people that didn't serve you, this is that time where it's easy to fall back into the trap of anything and everything if you don't learn to control your emotions. So getting your emotions under control, if you lived most of your life not having your emotions under control, it is a massive undertaking. And I am like way off of my notes. I'm like towards the end. So how do I come up with this? You are talking to the queen of emotional. Well, I was. You are talking to the queen of someone who would jump and be impulsive and make the most impulsive decisions based on what I was feeling at the time. And because I was so wrapped up in my emotions, you couldn't tell me you could not tell me that I was not right. And if it didn't work, I would usually find out a way to figure out why it didn't work. It surely could not be me and my impulsivity. Yes, but it was. So your emotions, the fact of the matter is they're a part of you. God created our emotions, and sometimes when they get you in trouble, I really wonder why, when you're feeling like more than once all at one time. But God created your emotions, and the reality is we need our emotions. Our emotions are vital in connecting us to other people. They're vital in connecting us to God. Listen, when you go into worship, your emotions are at work. When you are overjoyed and you're going into and you're praising, your emotions are at work. If what you do is people-based, and you deal with people, your emotions are definitely at play. So you need your emotions, right? And your emotions, they become an issue only when we don't manage them. If you can manage those emotions, then those emotions are a great guiding force. It's great for your discernment. Managing your emotions, and if you are on this live and you're not faith-based, sorry, not sorry, but this is just what I do. Managing your emotions is a direct tie and link to God. And when you're able to do that, the discernment that comes after that is something that you won't find anywhere else. But you can't even properly discern the way you need to discern if you're trying to walk around like a robot. You just can't. So you need your emotions, but you also need to balance your emotions. So what does that look like? Emotions, and if you do it the right way, they can drive you to make decisions for the better. So what does that look like? I'm sick of living this life like this, and I'm ready for a change. I say that really calmly because I'm past that point for the most part. But how many of us have been in that position where we just yell out, I'm sick of living life like this. I need some kind of a change. And the desperation that you feel in that moment, the frustration that you feel, the immense desire to live differently, that's driven by your emotions. Now, if you have a good handle on your emotions, two things are going to happen. You make that desperate plea of, I'm sick of living like this, something needs to change. And then you begin to change in the right way. You begin to seek out positive changes. And you understand that sometimes those positive changes will take a while, but they will happen. But if you don't have your emotions under control, right, that can look totally different. You can say, I'm tired of living this way and I need to change. And there we have things such as depression, suicide, drug use, because your emotions are not under control, which means everything else is not under control. It's your thoughts, your emotions, and then it all plays out in a ton of different ways. I remember being suicidal, and if you don't know much of my story, I spent a good chunk of my life in a suicidal state. I did attempt it 3 times. I attempted suicide. So really, when I tell you I should not be here, I really shouldn't. And one time in particular almost worked. And in each case, I remember feeling an overwhelming sense of things are not going to change. I'm tired of living life this way, but I don't think that I have the power to change it. So the thought came first, and then those emotions followed it. And I allowed them to spiral out of control because I had no control of my own self. And that came with attempting suicide 3 times. So the emotions, if you don't get them under control, it leads you down a rabbit hole that is unfathomable. It's tempting, but you have to take a breath and let these emotions bring you to a clear place of decision making. If you make any kind of decisions out of anger, fear, frustration, depression, anxiety, or any other emotion like that, it's a hole that it takes the prayers of the righteous to get you out of. So one of the proverbs that my mom used to always use with me, my mom is a preacher, so I'm a preacher's kid. And whenever I went to her, it has always been great advice, but it is rooted and grounded in the word of God. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. And she used to reference Proverbs 25 and 28 all the time in regards to me. Now, that proverb signifies self-control, right? And part of self-control is learning how to manage your emotions. So in biblical times, a city needed its walls. And without its walls, that city was left with no defense against the enemy. So if you don't learn how to manage yourself, how to have self-control and manage your emotions, you're pretty much open for any and everything. Your ability to decide and discern is off. You have to, your ability to decide who is best for you and what is best for you is totally off. And you find yourself, how do you move from point of frustration to moving towards your purpose, your dreams and your goals? All right, look, Patrice, I'm definitely going to come back to answer that. Actually, I'll answer that right now. How do you move from the point of frustration to moving towards your purpose, your dreams, and your goals? So what that signifies, Patrice, is you are spending a lot of time thinking on the thing that's frustrating you. That means if you can't move past the frustration point, that's because you are spending a lot of time thinking about what frustrated you. So if it is, when I got laid off, if I had spent so much time thinking about, and I did every once in a while, but I began to think, okay, why was I laid off? I gave half of my life to this place, and this is what happened. And every time I thought about that, I thought on that, it led me in a place of frustration. So in order to do that, you really have to start to think down the line, and you really have to start to think in a future kind of way. You have to stop and think, okay, whatever happened has already happened. There's not a whole lot I can do about what happened other than getting the help that I need to make sure that I'm in a good place, and then working on making sure that my future does not look like that. So whenever I think I think I don't want to stay frustrated. I'm frustrated now, but I don't want to be frustrated 2 years down the line, 1 year down the line. So you have to look at the long game and your future self and think, I don't want to be like that. So what do I do right now to get there? When you start asking yourself that question, you don't have time to think about how frustrated you are, because now you're busy focusing on how to get out of there. So typically I find that anytime a client comes to me when she can't move past the point of frustration, it's because she can't move past that point of that incident that happened that has her frustrated. And she's ruminating on that and staying in that. Also, when you do that, your emotions get tied up in that also. So your emotions are tied into that frustration and that anger or whatever you're feeling in that moment, and it's keeping you there. Give yourself one time to think about what's happening, what can happen a year from now if you put in the work to do it, And once you start doing that, those emotions move from that into hope. And then that's something that you want to always kind of, try and work towards. So to answer and I hope I did answer your question. Usually I like to wait, but that was a good one. All right. So if you all know my story, when I started my company, I am going into my third year of business by myself. I was laid off back in, I think, 2018 or so. I was laid off. It was unexpected, although the district had been doing massive layoffs. I just thought that, we all think it can't happen to me. So I was laid off. And I had this I felt this overwhelming sense of, okay, maybe I could take my company to the next level now. And I did. But at one point, I remember sitting on my couch thinking, what if I can't provide food for my daughter? What if I can't make rent? You hear the what ifs that happen? And me thinking about all those what ifs got me into a really desperate state. And then I thought about the past. What if I end up homeless again? And if you're just, getting to my story, I was homeless with my daughter for quite a while. For about a good 3 to 4 months, we were homeless, living in a cheap hotel room. So I kept thinking, what if I end up back at that cheap hotel room, homeless again? And it led me to this point of fear, desperation, and anxiety. So I ended up making some horrible money decisions at the time where I needed to make the best decisions ever. I got kind of caught up in an MLM, and it took money, and I made absolutely no money because I got caught up in something that was not my thing. MLM companies were not that's not my thing. That's not my purpose. That's not my niche. Yes, sometimes you can learn it and flip it and do it, but that was not something that was for me. But the desperation and the thought of making really quick money had me making a decision that did not serve me in the end. I lost more money than what I made. So I had to stop and think, okay, what can I do to bring income in for the long game? This isn't it. It's not working for me. And I should have known better. But because I was in a desperate state and because I let my emotions run me, I made a decision that was not the best for me. You all are going to be presented with many opportunities right now. This is an amazing time to build out a legacy right now. It really is. But you have to make sure you're not doing that out of a point of desperation or fear. And if that is, it should drive you in a better way to make something that is sustainable and lasting, and to work with the right people that's truly going to help you. So you have to have a clear enough mind to put the emotions aside for now and make sure who you're looking at is the right person to help you. Make sure what you're doing is the right thing for you. Okay. If you know that you're doing something and you can make money really quickly, that's fine. But make sure you're making the right decision. Okay. So we're going to go into that. So how do you begin to do that? All right. The first thing is understanding that you have emotions. Like, they're there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're not going anywhere. And you're not meant to be a robot. In anything that you do and anything that you're trying to change or master or, control, the first thing is acknowledging it, being aware of it, and accepting it. So your emotions are there. They're not going anywhere. You cannot, from the woman who went from being out of control of her emotions to feeling like the best way I can control them is to become a robot who now has me and my emotions, we low key cool right now. They're there. You cannot become a robot. So that's the first step. The next step is really involved. And it's the meat of this all. You have to make a conscious effort to take charge of your emotions. That is intentionality. That is being involved. That is being self-reflective. That is slowing down, thinking before you do the next thing. That's a really big thing. And right now is what we need. We need that a lot right now because we're all, like I said, 3.2 million Americans apply for unemployment. Can you imagine the rate of desperation that's out there right now? And if you're a business owner who is looking to sell to help, that's great. But if you're someone who is just wants someone's money, that's also great. So be aware of your thoughts. When for your emotions, you have to understand this. If you don't know this before, I'm telling you this right now. Your thoughts control everything. You want to be in control of your emotions? The first thing you have to do is be aware of your thoughts. That's where it all starts. If it's financial, for instance, what that looks like is, if it's financial, the first thing you might think is, what if I can't pay the bills? And then the minute you think, what if I can't pay the bills? Notice what happens with your emotions, anxiety, fear, and it's almost like this spiraling that happens like that. So be careful of your thoughts. We are all stuck in the house and cannot go anywhere right now, outside of the food stores and walks and whatnot. So what does that look like emotionally? Emotionally, that little boo thing of y'all's that you know was not good for you, you're going to start to miss them right about now because you're thinking, I feel lonely. And then what happens next? Your emotions follow that. Next thing you know, child, you out here sending text messages that you ain't got no business sending, and you're back down the rabbit hole. So a lot of that, results in panic. And when you get panicked, you make panic decisions. So then you need to pause and take a moment to calm down. Before you think any further or even speak, take a second. So again, what does that look like? Oh my goodness, what if I can't provide because of this? You take a pause right there. As soon as you think that thought, you take a pause. And then you start to rethink that. You take a pause, you take notice of your emotions, and you take a breath. That's what I used to think that deep breathing was, though, like just so cliche. But that's what the deep breathing is for, because the more oxygen you have, the more your brain slows itself down and you can think clearly. You take a moment and you breathe. And then the minute you think that, you start to control those emotions. And then you switch that thought around. Okay, but what if I can provide this kind of way? What if I end up doing this? So when I got laid off, what that looked like is, oh my goodness, like the MLM didn't work. I should have never made that decision. What happens if I can't provide? And I took a deep breath. Well, Shamar, you've been in tougher spots than this. You have a reserve of money. You never had that before. So take a deep breath and really, truly thug it out with this business. I mean, go hard. And I did. And we are 3 years in right now. It's more than just me. Well, it's me and guys. So we are 3 years in with this business right now. Has it always been lucrative? No. Have I had lucrative moments? Yes. But have I learned to manage my feelings so I can make the right decisions? Absolutely. So then I need you, once you do that, take a look at what's being offered to you right now. Is it what's best for you? Will it alleviate your stress and not add to it? Will it make things better or will it make things worse? When you can take a breath and calm your emotions down, you can ask yourself these questions and you can answer them. Is what is being offered in front of me right now, I know it's a quick thing, but is it real? Is it going to help me? Is it going to alleviate my stress? Because that's what you need right now. The issue is right now, everyone's trying to figure out how we're going to make it when jobs have closed down. So the solution is, what do I do to bring more money? Is that going to alleviate that stress of my bills not being paid? If not, don't do it. But you have to do that from a clear mind, which means you have to control your emotions. So if and then when you think about your emotions, understand that every time you make a decision based on emotions, there's going to be some kind of I don't want to say consequence, but there is a natural reaction to whatever action you take. That was good. There is a natural reaction to whatever action you take. That's why it also says in Ephesians 4:26, be angry and do not sin. Because when you do something based off of emotions, more than likely you will not be able to take it back. So everyone wonders, can I, if you're spiritual, can I find controlling your emotions based on spirituality? Absolutely. So Ephesians 4:26, be angry and do not sin. Because when you make any decision based in emotions, more than likely it's not reversible. And if you do, it takes forever to try and do it. So control your emotions before you make any decision. And this also means the next step is you have to get to the point where you can recognize when things are getting out of hand and take a step back. If it's not working, if you're losing more than you're gaining, recognize that and stop it immediately and take a step back. If who you're dealing with, if the situation is getting out of hand and it's getting too emotional and no one's coming up with any solutions, everyone's yelling, everyone is having an issue, stop and take a step back. And it's okay with that. So that also requires a level of maturity. And also, if you can, when it comes to making your decisions and making sure they're not based on your emotions, if you can, and when I say if you can, I mean there are times where you have to make snap decisions really quickly. That's also a reason why you have to understand control your emotions, because when you can control your emotions, you can make those snap decisions much easier, right? But if you can, there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and saying, you know what, let me think about this for a second. I have been in many situations where I know me, I am clapback queen. My words, if you get me there, my words will hurt more than a fist and they will last. So I have to, in most cases, stop and say, you know what? If I respond right now, it's not going to be the appropriate response. It's not going to be the godly response. So let me take a moment, because it's not going to be a response that is conducive to anything. So let me take a moment and I'll come back to it. If you are being presented with the offer right now and you know you're feeling that pressure and your emotions are at work, take a step back and say, you know what, let me think about it. Let me pray on it. Let me get clear about it. And then I'll come back to the task at hand. So the people that you're dealing with, or the person or whatever that you're dealing with, should be able to say, okay, I understand that. We'll talk more when you're ready, or you can come back to me. And if that's not the case, well, then the decision has been made for you. That's not what you need to be doing, and that's not where you need to be. The next step in controlling your emotion is go fast forward. How is what I'm about to say or do going to affect me down the line? What is the bigger picture? Always ask yourself that. How is what I'm about to say or what I'm about to do going to affect me down the line? Like I said, right now, this is prime time to get back in the mix with people that you know you should not be in the mix with. Emotions are at work. We're not able to touch or hug anybody. So you want to get that connection some kind of way. Child, you better find Jesus real quick. I'm sorry. That's just me. But that's what I mean by that. If I do this, get money now kind of deal without researching, without thinking, but I'm emotional and I'm panicked and I'm frustrated, so I'm going to jump out there and do it, what's going to happen down the line? When I got caught up in the MLM thing after I got laid off, it sounded good and it sounded like I could get trained to make money, and I didn't. I made no money. And what I did not think about and what I did not look at, the fine print that I did not look at, was that company took money out of my account every month. And here I am being laid off, and upwards to almost $100 is being taken out of my account every month. I didn't read the fine print on that. I didn't look at that. Had I stopped and thought and not made that decision based on my emotions, I would have realized what was coming around the pike. Now, granted, I stopped it, but by that time, I had lost upwards to about $400 being laid off. I made a decision that I did not pray on first, that I did not stop and think about. I just did it. Control and manage your emotions. Now, right now, what we're also being faced with is business loans. I have gotten so many emails and phone calls about business loans right now to help small businesses during the COVID-19 crisis. And I am super thankful that people have thought about me with these business loans. And if I were in a new state, if I was new in business, and 3 years is still pretty new. But if I had not got to the point where I could control my emotions and my thoughts, I would have jumped right on that. Yes, but I'm nervous to move forward. All right, Patrice, I'm about to get there right now. I would have jumped on that. But wisdom and taking a breath and managing my emotions and controlling those helped me understand, do I really want to take on another loan right now? Child, Sally Mae, I still got student loans with Ed Financial. Excuse me, Sally Mae, Ed Financial. So can I actually afford to take on another loan? I know it would alleviate things for the moment, for right now, but what happens when this is all over? Am I going to be able to afford to pay those loan payments back? Absolutely not. So guess what? We're going to have to thug it out right now, make some sacrifices, double down on things, and we're going to have to apply for some grants and really get strategic about money, because I know that I cannot take on another loan. But it took me bringing my emotions back and calming down and thinking, okay, this is what's best for me. What about fear of failing? I'm out of work and have ideas, but I'm still nervous to move forward. So here's the thing about fear of failing, okay? I want to give you a quick exercise. And I think I gave this exercise a couple of weeks ago, Patrice, but you had not been a Facebook friend that at that time. We just met. So fear of failing. Actually, I'll just skip to it. Fear of failing, when you start to think about, I want you to think about all the times where you had an idea and you put the idea in place, right? Think about a time where something worked, something that you did worked, and you were excited that it worked. You didn't think it was going to work, but it worked. And when you think about that time, think about what it was and how it made you feel. You're feeling excitement. You're feeling out of breath because you're so excited. You're feeling, worked up because you're so excited. Your heart is beating fast. You're out of breath. You might be sweating a little bit because you're so excited. And now I want you to, after you stick with that for about 5 minutes, I want you to think about a time where something you did failed miserably and you felt overwhelmed. Now, tell me the feelings that you feel when you think about that. The feelings are out of breath because now you're panicked. It didn't work. The feelings are your heart is racing because it didn't work and you're feeling embarrassed. Your nervous system is now worked up because it didn't work. So whether you're excited because something worked or whether you're upset because something failed, your nervous system kicks in the same way. The feelings are very similar. So when I tell my clients about a fear of failing, 9 times out of 10, it's not that they don't think their idea will work or whatever have you. That fear of failing is because when they get close to their ideas and when they start to realize that this idea might work, the same kind of feelings that come over their nervous system that comes over their body is the same feelings that they feel when they felt overwhelmed. If you don't know how to recognize that, it's easy to think, oh my God, these feelings don't feel right. I felt like this when it didn't work, so this isn't right. I can't go forward anymore. I can't do this anymore because it feels too much like when it didn't work. When in all actuality, your nervous system is kicking in the exact same way, but you have to know that. So once that happens, Patrice, the only way to get past that is to push past those feelings and do it anyway. If you know that God has given you that plan and you know that plan is going to work and you know that plan is organized and ready, if you don't jump out there and do it, it's going to sit there on that table. Plenty of times with this company, I thought, what if this company does not work? I'll be another entrepreneur child that didn't make it, that didn't do it. I'll be another one of them. But what if it does work? Now, is it going to be easy? No. Are you going to fail sometimes? Absolutely. But every time it doesn't work, I don't look at it as if I failed. I look at it as if that's another lesson under my belt to keep my business afloat and to grow it. So you have to push, you have to do it afraid. Everyone thinks that I do these things and I'm fearless. No, I'm actually riddled with fear and anxiety. I just don't let it control me. Every time I get on to do a live, every time I go on stage to speak, I am riddled with fear. I am riddled with anxiety, riddled with it. But I do it anyway. That does not run me. I run it and I do it anyway. 9 times out of 10, everything pops off well. And when it doesn't, I don't look at it as, see, I should have never tried it. That's your emotions in play. That's your emotions at work. I might think that, but I immediately calm it down, bring it back, Shamar, take a breather, and look at what you could have done differently. That is controlling your emotions. It did not work. It crashed and failed. Okay. I remember one year I had a Black Friday sale. Child, I sold nothing. Nothing went through. And I felt like I'm not good for this. I'm not built for business. I'm not supposed to be an entrepreneur. Knowing good and well, you're welcome. Happy being messy. You're welcome. I felt like this isn't it. My business coach was the one that said, okay, take a breather. Let's figure out what went wrong. I had to take a breather. I figured out what went wrong. Don't you know the next year, which was this year, I had a Black Friday sale. And out of that Black Friday sale, books got shipped out and I gained 2 clients. Had I gone with those emotions and let those emotions run me, I wouldn't be sitting here right now on this live telling you how to do it. So that nervousness, you just have to push past it and do it, baby girl. Okay, so that was really good. Now, and Patrice, this also kind of goes to the next step. Never underestimate the power of getting help. Never underestimate the power of getting help. When I went through my divorce, I was the most emotional I had ever been. Hi, Gina Marie. I was the most emotional that I had ever been. And I was literally all over the place. What proper decision was I going to make for myself and for my daughter when I'm crying at the drop of a needle every single time? If you read my book, I was very transparent about that one time, y'all. I was in the supply closet crying for 40 minutes straight in the supply closet at my school on the second floor, just crying 40 minutes straight. So if I had kept doing that, what decisions would I was going to be able to make for myself or for my daughter? So I got help. And yes, I'm a Christian that went and got herself some therapy. Thank God I had a Christian-based therapist, but I didn't know that. I wasn't looking for a Christian-based therapist. I just knew that in the state that I was in right now, I needed help. And I had to go get it. And I knew that God created now me being a life coach and going to, having gone to school for social work and whatnot. I understand that that is my purpose. So God has given me that ability to help people, right? So I went and got help. And part of that help was, how do you control and master your emotions so you're not out here making these crazy decisions with your finances, with your life, with the type of men that you allow in your life? How do you control your emotions? And I couldn't do it at the time. So I got the help to do that. Never underestimate the power of getting the help that you need. You can still serve God and go see a therapist. Why do you think? And that's why a good chunk of us actually go into the profession, because we feel it's our calling to help people. So never underestimate getting help. The biggest thing about that is getting your emotions under control. It's a massive undertaking, especially if you've lived most of your life letting your emotions run you. It's a massive undertaking in your mind, your spirit, and that works its way outward. So if getting your emotions under control is such a massive undertaking and you are in the mix of that, child, you better get you some help quick. If you can't figure it out, get you some help. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because your emotions are so cloudy and will have you everywhere. How are you supposed to sit here and help yourself if you can't even figure out how to get the help you need? Like, can you picture that? You're in this cloudy state and you're trying to control your emotions, and yet they have you everywhere. How are you supposed to make the clear decision on how to master them if no one's there to teach you? Get the help that you need so people can teach you these steps that I'm telling you right now, and they go deeper. But obviously this is a live stream. With my clients, when we do managing your emotions with my clients, we go much deeper than this. Hey, Karan, we go much deeper than this. I mean, we really get into it. And they get assignments based on this. And they get exercises based on this. Okay? So don't be afraid to get the help that you need. At this point in my life, I pretty much got my emotions under control. Do I feel them? Oh, absolutely. Are there times when I'm ready to pop off and get it popping? For sure. I'm clapback queen. Like, for real. But I have learned that is not always the appropriate response, and that can make things worse instead of better. But I'm there after a lot of practice, after a lot of help, and after a lot of work, and after a lot of prayer. That did not happen overnight. It did not happen overnight. So Shamar, you got divorced around, oh my God, early 30s. I'm almost 40. Wow, it's been almost 10 years. When did you start feeling like you were settled enough and stable enough to make those decisions that's not based in emotion? 2 years ago. That timeline looks different for everybody. But what I'm telling you is, it's a massive undertaking. Be easy on yourself and take your time. If you have made the conscious effort to manage your emotions and master them, and you make a mistake, be easy on yourself. And that's the next step. Really be easy on yourself. You're a human and you're learning. You're going to make these mistakes. You get back up and you keep trying until one day you're sitting somewhere and someone says something crazy to you and you don't even pop off the way you used to. You just sit there and go, well, that wouldn't be the appropriate response. So let me calm down. When it happened to me, I was like, who is this right now? Like, what? Oh my God, am I grown up now? Like, oh my goodness. Like, I'm a grown up now. And it's helped me make the best decisions for me and my business going forward. It took some time. And I want to, and I'm getting ready to close out, but I want to remind you of these few things. Okay. We are humans with emotions, and there is nothing wrong with that. As long as we know how to deal with our feelings and moves in a positive way. Your emotions are not negative. You think they're negative because you feel like they've gotten you caught up in all kinds of crazy things, when in actuality, it's your inability to control them and make the right decisions for you. You are in control. You are in control. You are in control. You are in control. And that is just that. Hey, girl, hey. So understand that. And the major key alert here is not to take your emotions out of the equation, but to find a balance. You cannot possibly become a robot. It will not work for you. I can promise you, I tried it for a good while. When you become a robot, you shut everyone out. And growth is a collaborative process. Solution-based is a collaborative process. You have to be able to, you need people to help you do this. So you can't take them out of the equation, but you can balance them. Now, look at what's presented to you. Take immediate note of your feelings. Take immediate notes of your thoughts. Fear, anxiety, pressure. That does not equate a sound mind. A sound mind is like this, not this. A sound mind is here. Okay? Fear, anxiety, pressure. If you're feeling any of these when you have to make a decision, stop for a second and come back to it. When you walk away, you take some deep breaths to get that oxygen flowing and clear your mind. And then you breathe again. And then you come back to the decision. How do I know when the decision is right for me? Is when I make the decision and I'm at peace with the decision. I'm not going back and forth. I'm not confused, because God is not a God of confusion. I'm not confused about it. I am just feeling peaceful about it. That's how I know that's a decision that I need to make. And I have made it not based on my emotions, but with a sound, clear mind. Balance your brain with your heart and make sure you're covering it with prayer so you can make decisions that help you and not hurt you. So we've gone for the longest I've ever gone in live. I've never gone almost 40 minutes in a live. But I wanted to make sure I popped on here. And if you can watch the replay, please do. Please feel free to comment and share this out. Because like I said, right now, you are scrolling online and you are going to be offered many different things. I've been offered loans about 5 different times. I took none of them. Yes, it would have alleviated the pressures right now being an independent business owner. Sure, it would have alleviated the pressures of being an entrepreneur right now. But down the line, I would have been caught up in another hole that I don't know I don't know how I'll be able to get out of. The only hole I'm in right now is student loans. And I can at least manage that somewhat as long as you're paying the minimum. You know how that is. Like, I might be paying them joints until I'm like 85. But I at least know what that is like. Add another loan on top of it, and it's going to cripple me as a small business. So I had to make the emotional decision to think, I'll thug it out right now. I might have to do my own eyebrows for a little bit. Knock down the nails to once a month, which I was doing anyway. Double down on everything and make it through this and be more strategic, and then start figuring out different ways to make money. I'm a writer, so I'm on work. I'm on Upwork. I'm on Fiverr. I'm on everywhere. But we're not taking any loans right now because I feel like something needs to be alleviated right now. What's it going to look like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, shoot, a month down the line for you? Okay? All right, so I hope that was able to help you. Patrice, you asked some really great questions. If you watch the replay and you have any questions, feel free to put them in here, because even when I end the live, what's going to happen is I'm going to get I'm going to see the comments that you all leave, and I'll go back in and respond, because I love connecting with you all and helping any way I can. So go back and watch the live play, comment, share it out. I just want to make sure that while we're all in this time right now, we're all making the decision that's best for us. Even right on down to who you get to help you. I am still selling, but I am telling women all the time, make sure I'm the one for you. It's more important for me to help you than it is for me to get your money. So if I'm the one that is supposed to help you and you pay for my services, understand that you are going to get over what you paid for and over what you need, because it's important for me that when you bring me on, you walk away independent and able to live this life the way you want to live it. Okay. Lastly, as I tell you all, go sign up for my email list. What I'm doing right now, I always put my email list. So I'm going to put my website on the in the comments. Go sign up for my email list if you're not already. This type of stuff, go to my website. This type of stuff I put in my email list at least once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a week. Lately, it's been once a week because I want to make sure everyone that I am checking in with is okay. Go sign up for the free email list and take a look around, because there are videos there that are just like this. There's a whole blog there that are approaching and tackling a lot of these topics right now. And for the time being, actually indefinitely until everything's lifted. If you're on the email list, you should have gotten an email. Everything is 20% off and everything is virtual. So there are because shipping is so slow right now, everything is virtual. So I don't have to worry about shipping too much as of right now. So go look, go peek around, and I will be back here next Thursday. Also go on the email list, because let me tell y'all something. There's a whole new series coming out of this. And that series is good. It is meatier than this. It is helpful. There's a whole series. And now that I've already sent in trademark paperwork and copyright paperwork, I can finally debut it. It debuts on Saturday, so you all will start to see it on Saturday. But there's a whole series coming your way to make sure that you have everything you need to make it through this time. Y'all, I'm excited. So, that is that. Share this out, please, and thank you. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you so much for, Valencia. I'm doing my shout outs. Shout outs to Lord Patrice, Valencia, Gina Marie on Instagram. I see you all have popped in and popped out. Thank you so very much for being here with me, listening. Karan, thank you so much for popping in for a little bit and waving beautifully. Thank you so much, everyone here. I think there was a girl who I don't know, but her handle is Barbie something. Thank you so much for popping on and sticking with me. I appreciate you all so much, and we will be back here again next Thursday to do another live.